PodMoth.
Welcome to Freaky Fridays, the podcast where we talk about all kinds of scary, spooky, freaky shit.
We're your hosts, Michele and Melissa, and tonight we're going to talk about scary things kids say.
Creepy shit kids say.
Creepy kids. Kids are creepy.
Creepy. Kids are, I was just going to say, kids are creepy. God love them, but sometimes the things that they do and say, you're just like, what the fuck?
Mm-hmm. And we've talked before about these kids in situations that they're more open to spirits, they're more sensitive to it, they see things.
They're closer to the other side still.
Right. So let's talk about kids saying creepy crap.
Well, that, and I just feel like when kids of a certain age say certain things, you have to believe it, because it's like, where else would they have known that that even could happen or that even exists? Or do you know what I mean?
They're not like seeing that
you're
on
sitting around
Thomas
watching
the Train.
Right. So yeah, you just have to be like, I believe you. I believe you, kid. I'm fucking scared of you now, but I believe you.
I want you out of my face ASAP. And this is why
lock me in my room.
I won't babysit.
Yeah, it's trippy. Kids are trippy. They're pretty cool little humans, but they say some scary things, and it just makes you like, what the fuck?
And let's preface this with, I have no kids. Me, Michele, no kids. You, right. Melissa, have.
I do.
4.
A gaggle of kids.
14,000. Many nieces and nephews.
Yes.
My exposure to kids is minimum.
Yes. Although I will say that my children have never, I don't recall them ever saying anything creepy or spooky to me with the things that we're going to talk about. But I have had a situation, we talked about this before, with my godson, Wolfie, and then our nephew, Dominic, that he's had a couple of things that he has said to us, to his mom. Not so much anymore. He's 8 now. So I don't know if it's just, he just doesn't see or hear things as much anymore. Yeah. But definitely he was younger. I don't recall my kids saying anything like that, which I'm fine with. I'm glad it's,
really fine. But well, I was thinking your son Jake, of when he used to have his night terrors, but I think we should do a whole separate episode on that. And then you can talk about those stories.
Yeah. Sleepwalking, night terrors. It's a trippy thing. I think we should do an episode about that.
I've been listening to a few podcasts on kids talking about their past lives, that they believe that they were somebody in the past life and could recall all these details that that was a trip. I have a couple stories like that in here too, because even though it's not super creepy, I was like, oh, that's interesting.
Well, let's dive into one.
Yeah, let's dive in. Do you want to just trade off? Mine are very like short kind of stories.
Yeah, mine are too. They're not long. You can go ahead. You start first.
Okay, I'll preface this and say that I got most of these stories, if not all, off of TikTok. So this person says, one night I was babysitting my friend's children. The youngest, about 5 years old, drew a picture of a woman hanging from the ceiling, looked up at me and said, "She told me to draw this. She's coming for you. Hide."
Like, what do you do other than believe that child?
I know. What's the explanation for something like that?
Because, again, these are kids that they're not sitting around watching horror flicks like we are. It's not like they've, hopefully, I mean.
Okay, but when we used to watch that stuff, did you ever say something like that to
No.
I don't remember doing that.
No. I just mean, it's not like they got the idea put in their head. You know what I mean? And how at that age do they even know what it's like to see someone hanging? That's creepy as fuck. I'd have been like, peace out.
Yeah, I'd be like, hey, you're okay by yourself, right? All right. Yeah. You just text me if you
There's a pizza, call 911 if something happens.
Bathrooms there,
don't open the door for anybody.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a trip.
That's the last time that chick babysat, probably.
Yeah. So this first one that I found, it says, I was with my sister, her husband, and their 2-year-old daughter. 2-year-old daughter, okay?
2 years old, okay.
We were talking about loved ones that had recently passed. My father had died sometime recently. My brother-in-law went and grabbed a picture of his mother, who had died in a car crash when he was 6, and he wanted to show me who she was. When my niece, again, 2 years old, saw the picture, she started laughing. And we asked her what was so funny. And she looked at us and said, "That's my special friend who sings to me." I still shiver a bit just thinking about it.
Oh my God. See, I want follow-ups. I need to know what happened next.
I know.
That's insane.
And so one of the stories about Dominic, I'm going to tell you now, since it kind of plays off this one, is, as you know, Dominic was not born when my dad was still alive. And in my parents' old house, there was like a little room off the kitchen that eventually my dad stayed in because it was easier for him with his oxygen and everything. And he had a bed in there, and then he had his like rocking chair, and he used to sit in the rocking chair and watch his shows. And one time when we were having a family dinner, we still had my dad's rocking chair in there, and Dominic was in there. And
so Dominic was born and your dad had passed.
Yes.
Okay.
And Dominic was in his old room, and we were talking about something, and Dominic made the comment and said, "Oh, you mean the man in the rocking chair?" And we were like, "What?" And he says, "Papa Bill in the rocking chair." Never met my dad. And then we took out pictures and we're looking at him, and he said, "That's the man in the rocking chair."
Oh my God. How old was Dominic?
God, I don't remember.
3?
He had to, I mean, he was obviously old enough to talk. And this was after because Tony and Danielle and Bella lived there, and they moved out before Dominic was even born. So Dominic wasn't even living. They were just visiting for a family dinner.
Right. Oh my God.
But he knew that, and we just all kind of looked at each other like, well, I'm a believer because we know my dad sat in that chair. He's Papa Bill, and this child has never met him. It was a trip.
That is a trip. Here's a quickie for you. You know, I like my quickies. It says, in the middle of the night, my little sister turned to me and said, "Do you hear them talking?" But it was dead silent.
No.
It's those 2 like sentence ones that I'm like,
yeah.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, I don't like that. Is this
real? Please tell me it's not real.
Do they say how old they are at all?
No, that was all it says.
Yeah, I got a 2-sentence one for you.
Okay.
This one says, "Go back to sleep. There isn't anything under your bed. Period. He's behind you now. Period." I'd be like, "Fuck you, I'm out. Read your own goddamn bed story. Put yourself back into bed and roll yourself up like a burrito and tell yourself to say," what's that goddamn saying? "Stug is a bug is a red," whatever the fuck it is. I'm getting out of here.
Or come with me. We're sleeping in my bed.
I don't know if I want you to come with me.
Oh my God, where did these kids get this? So yeah, I hope they sold that house.
And it's funny because someone commented, "Nope, nope, nope."
Nope. I am now a single person with no kids and no house. This one says, my little cousin said her imaginary friend Chucky told her to kill her dad. It turns out they used to have a pool in their backyard that was covered up after the last owner committed suicide. His name was Chewy, but my little cousin couldn't pronounce it, so she called him Chucky.
I'd move. Yeah, I don't think I could live there.
No. See, this is the kind of stuff I need to know before buying a house. I know most places will let you know if somebody died in the house, but I want to know like the whole backstory. Like who lived here? What were they into? What was this land built on?
Yeah.
Is this a poltergeist situation?
Well, a friend of mine, her and her boys moved in. They're just renting, but they moved into a new house. And she was telling me that she felt like there was something going on in her attic, like a noise or something, and it was constantly happening. And she sort of did a little digging and found that there was 2 deaths at that home. One of them,
if you rent, maybe they don't disclose it. It's only
right?
buying.
Yeah, I don't know.
Ugh.
One of them was like an older gentleman that lived there, and he passed away there of, I'm guessing, natural causes or whatever. And she said that because she has a beautiful front and backyard with lots of roses and stuff, and she said that she feels like he's the one, because she said that when she's out in the garden, she feels a sense of comfort, like a sense of peace. She feels like the older gentleman is the one who kind of kept that garden going. And then she did some more digging and found
a body.
There apparently used to be a hot tub in her backyard, which is no longer there. Ooh. And apparently there was, not sure if it was a murder or an OD, someone who was renting the house also after this gentleman passed away. There was a bunch of shit went down. Long story short, this guy got picked up and arrested. He was being chased or whatever. I can't remember. And he's like, well, since you're arresting me, I might as well tell you that there's a dude dead in the hot tub at that house.
Oh my God.
And she doesn't know, it didn't disclose if he was murdered or if he OD'd. So she's found out that there's been 2 deaths on that property. But it's just a trip to know that like you have a sense of something coming that's in your home. And now you know that there was 2 deaths in this home.
Yeah, the old man I think I could handle, especially if she feels comfortable with him in the garden and everything. But the other one seems very violent or unsettled, or I don't know. How long has she lived there? How long is she gonna live there?
In a few months. Yeah, I guess as long as she can. My next story says, walking past an old cemetery, my then 3-year-old son casually said, my brother is in there. When I reminded him that he didn't have a brother, he said, no, mama, from before, when the other lady was my mommy.
Oh, Jesus. What do you say to that?
I mean, if a 3-year-old can remember having a brother and can remember being somebody else's child, what else is there to say?
That poor kid, I would be grilling him like,
I know.
Tell me everything. Draw pictures. What else? Mm-hmm. What else?
Yeah.
Or me as the fun, crazy aunt would be like, well, let's bring you back to your parents.
Playtime is over.
I do not want to be around you anymore.
Auntie's moving. Use my number.
Yeah. I'm not your aunt anymore.
Oh, kids, they say the darndest things.
I kept thinking that when I was reading all these. Wasn't that like an old Bill Cosby show?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, then I think someone else, like it's been taken over by a few different, I think it was someone else even before him. Some old white dude, I think, was the first one that did it.
How many times did they hear something funky and they're like, cut that out?
Right.
I think you might have heard this or read this one because I feel like I saw it so many times. My 2-year-old daughter was playing with her toy kitchen and sauteing a plastic baby in a pan. I told her, we don't cook babies. And she said, it's just to take the skin off.
I have not heard that. I am now terrified of that child. I hope that her parents took her in to get some help or locked her up.
She's in a basement somewhere.
Gave her food and water and called it a day.
Yeah.
Because she would not be getting tucked in by me that night.
No more fake kitchenware.
No, either that or she would just get anything she wanted and I would be as nice as I could be to her. Mama don't want her skin fried off.
I just watched a video on, tell me the moment that you knew your kid was a psychopath or could be a psychopath. And this lady says, long story short, that her kid, who's like 4, comes up and says, you didn't yell at me today. You're such a nice mommy. You didn't get mad at me today. I don't think I'll kill you tonight.
Holy fuck.
And I don't think I'll kill daddy either.
I would put him up for adoption or check him into the facility where Michael Myers resides. Ugh. Yeah, no, that's frightening, actually.
Therapists should be trolling TikTok and YouTube to find all these stories.
Yeah. My next one says, my sister got hit by a drunk driver in April and it totaled her car. She had my 4-year-old nephew and my infant niece with her.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah. When my mom arrived at the hospital, my nephew asked her if she would think the big guys. What big guys? She said. Grammy, the big guys that were in the car with me when it got loud and scary and they hugged me with their arms and kept me safe.
Aww.
To this day, even the insurance adjuster cannot explain how either child escaped with not a scratch.
Wow.
Yeah.
Weird.
I actually have a car story. We weren't hurt or hit or anything, but I was with my brother Tony and Nick and my sister, and we were with Tony's old girlfriend. So Tony's old girlfriend was driving. Tony was in the front. The other 3 of us were in the back of her car. And we were at a red light. We were waiting because we were going to be making a left-hand turn. So the light turned green, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, I want to say it was like a Ferrari or a Corvette or something. It was a super fast, like, nice car. It went racing through the opposite red light, and she slammed on her brakes. We had just missed getting hit. I mean, it would have killed all of us. The speed that this car was going, and we were sitting idle. In that moment, my 2 brothers, my sister and I, we all looked at each other and said, do you smell Nana's makeup? Now, our Nana has been passed away since Tony and I graduated high school.
Wow.
Years and years ago. And my brother's girlfriend at the time, she was like, I don't know what you guys are, I don't smell anything.
What?
but the four of us could smell her distinct makeup. And for me,
her makeup saved you.
It felt like she was there watching over us.
Yeah.
Kind of like how this kid says the guys with the big arms and, wrapped him and saved him. Like, that's kind of how I felt, that if the four of us could smell something at the same time and she didn't know what we were talking
such
about.
A trip, yeah.
Mm-hmm. I know, it's trippy.
Sense, yeah. Well, I'm glad you guys are okay. So this one says, when my nephew was about 5 years old, I remember taking him around the neighborhood for trick-or-treating. We stopped at a house with a few lit pumpkins and fake cobwebs, but my nephew said that we wouldn't be getting any treats from this house. I asked him why, and he said, the cat told me. I noticed a gray cat sitting in the front garden of the house. We did indeed get no answer from the doorbell, and a few days later, police were seen outside the house. The owner has died in his sleep.
On Halloween? Or
well, I don't
Halloween?
know, probably before Halloween, but he said that the cat told him.
That's a trip.
You're not.
And this was a kid saying this?
5-year-old kid, yeah.
Wow. Is this Salem?
Yet they still
Sabrina the Teenage Witch.
And they still went to the front door and knocked and
Tried
to get that damn candy.
It's that weird kid intuition shit.
Kids and animals together.
Yeah. So we'll listen to this one. This one says, when my cousin was 2 years old or so, her mom got pregnant again. One day she went to hug her mom's belly and said, little brother's sick. A few days later, she had a miscarriage.
Oh man.
Even if it was a crazy coincidence, like why else would a 2-year-old say someone's sick that they don't even physically see on the outside?
I thought this one was kind of funny because of the way that it was. This one actually comes from Twitter. Back in the day, my younger brother used to tell us about his other quote unquote grandparents and the blue house they used to live in. After always telling him he was making it up, he told our mother he could bring her there. So we went for a drive. And this 5-year-old little psycho gave her turn-by-turn directions.
Oh my God.
45 minutes. We ended up 4 to 5 towns away at a dead-end street with an abandoned blue house.
What the fuck? And this was a kid giving directions.
Yes.
They can't even find their way to the goddamn bathroom in their own house by themselves. Like, did he print out
turn-by-turn directions? And he's like sneaking it down here. Siri said, I said to turn right. His turn-by-turn directions sound like in 500 feet, turn left. But that would be crazy. I wonder, like, is this the one and done? Like, this kid does that, brings him to the house, and then nothing ever happens again?
Right? Yeah. I don't know.
I need follow-ups.
Okay, so my next story is very conjuring to me.
Mm-hmm.
It says, why are you crying? And apparently the little kid says, bad man. Parent says, what bad man? There, and points me at a dark corner of the room. Lamp on bookshelf next to said darkened corner falls off as soon as I turn to look. She slept in our bed that night. Does that not seem like the conjuring shit?
Yes. And I felt like nauseous when you were talking about that. Like, it makes me sick to my stomach to think, because I hate dark spots.
Me too, especially in the bedroom.
Yes. I don't want anybody pointing over there and saying bad man. Ugh. Yeah. Okay. So this one says, when I was 3, I had a plastic toy telephone that I loved to pretend to talk to people on. One day, my parents were sitting on the couch watching TV while I was playing with my phone. My parents said, I picked it up and said, yes, okay, and hung up. I turned to my dad and said, that was Uncle Jay. He said he's okay now, and then went back to playing. My dad's brother, Jason, Jayson, had died in a car accident a year before I was born.
Oh my God. That's freaking trippy.
Yeah.
It's like, as sad as it is though, I love hearing stuff like that because it just makes you feel like they're still connected, that people can still contact you. And especially like little ones that have like not actually met someone in the current world. Like they've obviously have been protected by them or they've met them somehow. And it's like, I don't know, it kind of makes you feel good.
Yeah. It's like a creepy, but happy.
Super creepy.
Crappy.
Don't get me wrong, but yes.
It's a crappy story.
It's a crappy story. My mother was babysitting my daughter while I was at a doctor's appointment and said, oh no, Grandma, Mama's not coming anymore today. She was in a bad accident. She can't come get us. I had indeed been in an accident that almost killed me at the exact time, and none of my family had been notified yet.
Jeez. Well, she didn't sound very sad about it either.
Kids are fucking twisted little beings, and they know things. They just know shit. Shit happens. They can see it or feel it, or I don't know. It's fucking trippy.
That story has so many questions for me. Like, she has a special talent. I hope she uses that.
Me too.
Tell me some lotto numbers, kid.
Stay off the pole and go be good somewhere and to help someone find a missing person or something.
Yes. Well, you could probably still be on the pole and find a missing person.
I mean, I suppose so. I mean, you could probably do both at one time.
We all have had multiple jobs.
You could be a multitasker.
Okay, this one says, a few years ago, I was putting my friend's daughter to bed for the night. She was about 3 at the time, and she was fighting to go to sleep. She asked me why she had to go to bed, and I said, because it's late, and it's time for little girls to get a good night's rest. She then pointed to nothing across the room and said, what about that little girl?
What? Nope, that's where I'd be like, nope, I'm out. You on your fucking own, I am out.
Be like, to my friend, what are you doing to your kid? Are you making her watch spooky movies?
Nope. Not today, Satan.
You know that cartoon, like, pew, when they're running and they bust through the wall?
Yeah. Like
Roger Rabbit. That would be me.
And I would never return.
No, and those people are not friends anymore.
No. This one is kind of trippy. It says, my sister Haley was born exactly 2 months after our great-grandmother died. One day, Haley woke up and informed us it was her 95th birthday. When we tried to reason with her, she started crying, saying that her real name was Irene, which was their grandma's name, not Haley. This lasted all day, and the next day she didn't remember a thing. So it's almost like, I forget what it's called, but like when
spirit comes into their body. Yeah. Infestation? I learned that from the Warrens.
Is that it is what it's called, huh?
Well, that's demonically.
It wasn't demonic though. It was.
Oh, like in the movie Ghost.
Yes, I was just going to say, like
when they go into Whoopi Goldberg.
Yeah.
Why Orlando? It's autumn sunrise. You like?
You in trouble, girl. I love that movie. Now I want to watch it.
I know. I want to watch that too. Oh my God. I cried like a baby. And I was young watching that and I still cried like a baby.
I was in 8th grade. Michelle Hand and I were with 2 boys at the Chabot movie theater. Oh. And this is when you got to see a double
feature. Which is haunted.
Oh, yes, it is. It is. Mm-hmm. I think we talked about this. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we saw Ghost There. I was in 8th grade. And oh my God, that scene, I just bawled like a baby.
Yeah. It takes you on a roller coaster of emotions. Mm-hmm. Because it also has like the true crime aspect.
Yeah. I love watching it now though, and just seeing how cheesy some of the stuff is in there.
Oh yeah. And some of the special effects. I don't even want to call them special effects.
They were just effects at that time. They weren't special yet.
This one says, my brother was sleepwalking and my mom was trying to coax him back to bed when he said, I would, but the devil is...
I thought you said my brother was sleepwalking and my mom was trying some coke.
I don't know these people. Maybe they were. Well, when you hear what the kid said, maybe he was doing some coke.
You know, your ears just hear things weird.
Oh, yeah. I mean, what's on your mind, Missy?
Instead of hearing my mom was trying to coax him, I heard my mom was trying some coke. And I was like,
cocaine.
Wow.
Well, that doesn't seem like part of the story.
That escalated quickly.
Real fast.
No wonder the kids saying creepy shit. You're doing coke in front of them. Yeah. Jesus criminy.
They're not creepy. You're hearing.
You're higher than a fucking kite.
It's the cocaine.
That's CB.
Let's change it up a bit. My brother was sleepwalking and my mom was trying to get him back to bed. When he said, I would, but the devil is behind you.
Nope. You best believe I'd break out the cocaine then.
You go ahead. I'm doing cocaine.
We'll pretend this never happened. I have questions about this one. What did the devil look like?
Yeah.
What was he doing there?
And what was he doing behind me?
Butt stuff.
Never butt stuff. Why is that so funny?
Because we're 12 years old. I don't know.
Oh
My
god.
God. But no, I mean, I really like want to question, like, I imagine the devil looks like whatever our mind thinks it looks like in that moment. Do you know what I mean? Like,
well, why is the devil always drawn or portrayed a certain way? Like, did somebody actually see him and draw him?
yeah,
But then we always have that same red face horns.
horns. Yeah. Like, but then
What if
you'll see,
he's like red face with bunny ears or something?
right. What if he's just like a black, murky, scrambly, weird, orby thing? Like,
Or is that why we have so many, like the Slender Man and Babadook and the Devil and all these different figures, because we all see something different?
Yeah, like I think that the devil is whatever we think it looks like or how we feel in that moment. I'm just curious for a child to say that, like in the child's mind, like what did this devil look like?
Yeah. But would you have the courage to be like, what does he look like?
I think I would. I would want to know.
Coaxing them back to bed.
I think later I would ask. I wouldn't ask in that moment. In that moment, I'd fucking run and leave the kid to fend for himself. Oh my God.
Poor bastard.
This story is a little trippy to me.
Okay.
My 4-year-old son and I were waiting for our food at Panera. While we stood there, he started rubbing my belly and talking to it. I asked him what he was doing, and he said he was talking to the baby. I informed him that I was not pregnant, and he said, there is a baby in your belly. I just saw it crawl across the floor and climb up into you. And then at the bottom, it just says WTF. Little boy, I'm not sure if you're aware, but that's not how babies are made.
Yeah, and that made me like cross my legs and clench a little bit.
But that kind of goes with, like, you know, when moms say, like, thank you for choosing me to be your mom. Mm-hmm. So it makes me think maybe he witnessed another baby choosing his mom to be his mom. I don't know. I mean,
Wait, did it come with Panera gift cards? The wine's starting to get to me now. Crawling on the floor of Panera, I'd be like, ooh, did it wash its hands?
Yeah. I just want to know, like, someone commented, would have been really scary if she turned out to actually be pregnant. Like, we don't know.
Oh yeah, we don't. Yeah.
No, but the fact that a 4-year-old, I mean, I would hate to think that that's something he saw in a cartoon.
Yeah. Where would he get that?
You couldn't just make that up. I don't know. Kids are fucking creepy.
Yeah. We always say kids and dogs, but dogs can't talk. So here we are bashing children. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Oh my God. When I read this, I actually like got the chills. So hopefully I do it justice telling you. This one is from Twitter. My 6-year-old had a princess bed with curtains around it. I always wanted one of those when I was a kid. That wasn't in the story. I was just talking about myself. She used to get really hot in bed, so I suggested not drawing the curtains around her. She replied, no, I have to have the curtains drawn. Then I can't see the old lady standing next to my bed. I don't like her watching me.
I would sell that house and we'd be gone.
Sell the bed, sell the child.
Be in a hotel.
Get rid of it. Everything.
I would give it an exorcism and I would be in a hotel that night and selling my house the next day.
So for our listeners, do you have a freaky story you want to share?
If so, go to our website at freakyfridayspodcast.com, where you can email us or find us on Instagram at freakyfridayspod. This one gives me the heebie-jeebies. Just today, my 4-year-old son told me, I think we live in a pretend world and someone is playing with us. I asked him what he meant and it got even weirder. He said, well, it seems like someone does things to us, but we can't see them because we are in this world and they are not.
Whoa.
This is a fucking 4-year-old.
That's like Elon Musk level 4-year-old. He's part of QAnon.
4. They're picking their nose and
how does it 4
outside, and he's talking about this fucking weird dimensional world that we don't exist in.
You know how to tie your own shoes, and you think that's
you can't wipe your own ass. But someone's up there pulling our puppet strings?
Shit, if he knows that. Mm-hmm. I think that is actually more trippy than some of the other stories. Like seeing a grandmother or a family member, I can see that.
That's like a whole other level.
A 4-year-old to come up with some like almost alien type.
Either that or this kid is going to be one hell of a movie writer when he gets older.
Right, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like he's going to be one of those sick fucks that we love to watch their movies.
James Wan.
Creepy AF.
Very. I had to give you this one because it has to do with the woods.
Oh boy. Here we go.
So this is from Twitter. I was hiking alone in the woods with my son, who was 7.
That's her first mistake.
Exactly. We could end it there, and that's spooky enough for me. It was eerie, quiet. Out of nowhere, he says, "The woods demand a sacrifice."
You better get the fuck out of there.
He wouldn't be able to end without me bolting 500 feet in front of him.
You better get Arnold on the phone and send a choppa and get you out of there.
It's not a tuna.
Fuck that.
This is in New York too, and you know how the East Coast has all that freaky shit.
See, and that's like, I mean, that's still a kid, but that's like getting a little bit older at that point. You know what I mean? Like to where you are more aware of things, and
you kind of know what you're saying too. Like,
so maybe he's someone who has grown up or will grow up to sort of have that a gift,
the sensitivity. Yeah.
But
what do you mean by that? What do you mean that the woods demand a sacrifice? And it was the guy's last tweet. Wait, let me read yours, and I'm going to look up if he ever tweeted again.
So this one's a quick one. Kind of gives me the chills. My 5-year-old asked me when he is going to be 23. I told him, you have 18 years. He replied, well, I hope I don't die again, because that's how old I was the last time I went to heaven.
Oh, God.
Isn't that trippy?
Yes.
And then, wait, let me read you this one too, just because it's a little creepy. My sister described her imaginary friend saying, he sits on my bed and waits for his mom. He's not allowed to go home by himself because of his arm. I asked what happened to his arm, and she said, his mom ran him over when he was drawing with chalk. That's why he's always crying, because he doesn't like being dead.
Oh God.
Like, I almost wish I knew where this was so I could look up and see, was there a child accidentally killed by his mom?
In the news or something.
Fucking trippy.
This person, Young MT, has tweeted as recent as 8 hours ago. So the person is still alive.
Well, that's good to know.
Says father of 2. So I'm assuming the kid is still alive. So nobody was sacrificed that day. I'm guessing.
That we know of.
That we know.
Doesn't mean an animal wasn't, though.
Oh, very true. Oh, I like this one. So this came from Twitter too, J.A. Bomb. When I told my 3-year-old I was pregnant and had a baby in my belly, she kept saying, no, 2 babies. A couple weeks later, it was confirmed that I was having twins. Twins were thought to be a boy and a girl, but 3-year-old kept telling me they were her sisters. So jokingly, we asked her when they would be born. She pointed to November 28th on the calendar. Sure enough, they were born November 28th. A 3-year-old.
That's crazy.
So she knew there was twins. She knew they were both girls, and she knew what date they were going to be born.
That's fucking trippy. Like, that's kind of really cool, though. Like, it's creepy as fuck, but it's also very cool.
Yeah.
Where's it at? Okay. This one's a little bit longer, but it's kind of trippy. Okay. On my way from work, my 3-year-old daughter in the back seat, we'd pass a very old cemetery every day. She used to tell me that people in there were waving to her. I would tell her there was nobody there, and I explained what a cemetery was. She was adamant she saw people and a school and a store, and they'd wave to her. This went on for several months, and every day she'd tell me. I was telling this to a coworker who lived in the area and was a history buff. He then researched the cemetery and told me that area was actually the site of where soldiers fought in the war, and they were buried there. They also made a very tiny town for a small time called Samptown, and there was a school and a little store, and some people lived there. If that wasn't enough to freak me out, one day driving past, my daughter told me a lady in there wanted her to come in. I found a different route home after that.
Yeah, I would say so.
Could you imagine this little girl seeing this every time and no one else seeing it?
Yeah. Did it say how old she was?
3.
3?
That's really young. That's
not like she can research the Civil War era. Jesus.
And like word for word told her mom what she was seeing, and this person's like, yep, there was this, this, and this. It blows your mind. It's so creepy, but it's so fascinating to me.
It is. I just want to take these kids aside and be like, tell me everything. Wait,
yeah.
Let me get a glass of wine first.
Yeah, just don't tell me what happens to me.
I want to end on a good one here.
Okay, give me a zinger.
During nap time, one of my 4-year-old students stood up on her mat from a dead sleep and screamed, "We have got to go now. The man is in the corner." She went back to sleep, but later during snack, the girl turned to me and said with a grave expression, "He tried to touch you with his 9 fingers."
Ew.
Then she cracked a smile and started eating her graham cracker like nothing had happened.
Mrs. Smith, it's time to come get little Susie early. And don't bring her back.
You go home now and you find another school to go to, please.
Yeah.
And I'm no longer a teacher.
I just want to read this one to you really quick. My 3-year-old son was softly singing while he was coloring. I stopped to listen, but I had never heard that song before. I asked where he learned it, and he said, "The lady in my bedroom sang it to me."
Nope.
Those are like my favorite ones.
Yeah,
they're just quick and they're just like, and then they go about their business. Like, it's like it didn't bother him. He wasn't
It's
scared.
like a movie scene. You're like, wait, what?
Mm-hmm. Really quickly, I wanted to tell you a couple of things about what Dominic has said.
Mm-hmm.
So one time, their older house that they lived in, actually more than once, one time in the kitchen, then one time in the bedroom, he had pointed out that there was an old lady in the room. They were in the master bedroom. They have a walk-in closet. Danielle was in there putting clothes away, and Dominic was in there playing. He was little. Mm-hmm. They walked out and Daniel closed the door. It was a closet. And he said, "Wait, what about the lady?" And Daniel said, "What lady?" And he goes, "The old lady that was in there with me."
Oh my God.
Yeah. One time I think
but he wasn't scared.
No, he was never scared when he said any of these things. Mm-hmm. Then one time he said something like he saw her, she was flat on the kitchen floor.
Ew.
I'm not sure what that was about.
And at that time, well, and still, both of his grandmothers are alive. So it's not a relative.
No, it's
necessarily.
No. And then the time that I was talking about that you were involved is when you and Nick were renting your house, mm-hmm. and we used to come
maybe
over.
This is why I blocked it, because I didn't want to think that something was there. Okay, sorry.
And we would come over to have our weekly PLL watch. Mm-hmm. This particular week, I had to watch Dominic, and you were like, "It's fine, just bring him with you." And Jake and I and Nikki were sitting on the couch. Dominic was on my lap, and you were sitting in the recliner, and he's sitting on my lap, and we're watching TV. And he jumped over and looked at his left and said, "Who's that at the door?" And we said, "There's nobody at the door." And he said, "Yeah, there is." And we said, "No." I'm like, "Your mommy and daddy aren't here yet." We went back to watching TV. 5 minutes later, he looked over and goes, "The man is right there, Auntie. Open the door." And you went and opened the door, and you're like, "There's nobody out here, Dom." And he's right there.
Why would I do that?
How do you not remember that? You really don't remember that?
Am I as stupid? Why would I do that?
I don't know, but he was adamant.
You sure it was me?
Yes, it was at your house on Seaview.
Wow, fearless.
Because your door on that house on Seaview had like that window pane where it was like the four, and we all were looking at you like, "What is he talking about?" And you opened and you're like, and he's like, "He's right there, Auntie." And he was.
Thank God we moved. I let him.
Adamant that there was a man because he could see him through the glass. I mean, he was full on watching TV and jumped like this, and he was like, "Who's that man?" And we were like, "There's no man." Like he was dead set that there was a man at that door. Because I feel like for us, like he was young enough to where we thought like maybe he was saying like his mom and dad were at the door. Yeah. And we were like, "No, mommy and daddy aren't here yet." And he's like, "No, the man." Like clearly it was the man he didn't know by the way he said that, and then jumped back to it. It was like, there he is again. And like it startled him enough because I remember distinctly he was sitting in my lap and because it made me jump because he jumped, and I'm like, what? Like that was trippy to me. But that one,
I think something was creepy with that Seaview place.
Yeah, there was an odd feeling in there.
Yeah.
A feeling of you weren't alone. It was great PLL nights.
Oh, yes, that was fun. Except for the time that I tried to kill you with the almond flour brownies. That is probably what sticks out most in my mind. It's always fun talking about weird ass kids.
Little fuckers.
Fuckers, stay away from me, but I want to know everything. I have a very yin yang feeling about stuff like that. Mm-hmm. I want to know, but I don't want to know, but I want to know more.
Yeah. It's like roadkill.
Yeah.
You want to know, but you don't want to look.
Yeah,
you can't look away. Yeah. You kind of do one of these.
Yeah. Through the fingers, which is why we watch scary movies, which is why we like spooky shit.
That's right.
So our listeners should share any children creepy children's stories they might have.
Yes, please. I want to know.
I want to make fun of your kids.
No, I just want to know what kids to stay away from.
Right.
I want to know who to not babysit.
Let's get them tattooed with a Harry Potter symbol.
We're going to mark them all up. Big scarlet letter on them. A big C, a big red C for creep.
Creepy.
All right. Well, thanks for hanging out and listening to our creepy stories, everybody.
Yeah, thanks
for indulging in our weirdness.
Don't forget to go to freakyfridayspodcast.com and subscribe, rate, and review us on your favorite podcast listening platform.
Join us next week for a new freaky tale.